team. My name is Brittany, and I am the project manager or your point of contact on the Eureka team for the Biobank website. If you have any questions at any time while reviewing this video or in general, please feel free to reach out directly. In today's video, I'm going to provide an overview of the Biobank website, focusing on the features of the website, what the website is based on, the study flow diagram and the mockups, and I'll also walk you through how the website works from a participant's perspective. Let's start off with the setup of the Biobank website, or the features included in Biobank. Over the last year, the BIOS and Eureka teams have worked to design the Biobank website to be a consent portal for UCSF's Biospecimen Resource Program, with the following MVP features. Here I have pulled up the study flow diagram, and I'm just going to call out the features. The first is DocuSign. The DocuSign consent process has all interested individuals consent to the Biobank via a DocuSign consent. The legalese and medical record questions survey allows participants to decide which biospecimen donation options to agree to and identifies individuals within UCSF and those who have a MyChart account. And lastly, we have a novel connection with UCSF's MyChart, or Electronic Health Record System, EHR, through the Smart on Fire integration. In this build, the EHR connection is used to automate MRN linkage and to do with manual MRN entry in the admin panel. That's mentioned here. The MRN will also show in the admin panel as a separate column. Next, I'm going to walk you through the Biobank study flow diagram in a little more detail and briefly show the mockups to help illustrate the functionality mentioned and what the website is based on. And then we'll just go through a really quick review of how the Biobank website works to put everything into perspective. Okay, so let's take a look at the Biobank study flow diagram, which is ultimately the blueprint for the website. And then we'll look at the mockups and the website itself. Okay, so I have the study flow diagram zoomed out, and as you can see, the study flow diagram in Eureka is a 2D visual representation of the user's experience through the website with an increased focus on the user. The visual drawing is an abstract diagram with shapes and lines that represent key objects and actions that occur during the progression through the website. There are decision points, there is a general flow, there's messaging, and more. Walking through the Biobank study flow, the biggest box, titled Web Onboarding, outlines the process of onboarding on the Biobank website. This smaller box outlines the activities in eVisit 1, and these ancillary boxes provide additional details that we'll go through in a little bit. Okay, so let's focus on web onboarding. So the biggest box, I'm going to zoom in. And we can see the first box describes how participants are recruited. On the Biobank website, participants are recruited through the BIOS website as well as through MyChart with basic referrals. If a participant decides to go to biobank.eurekaplatform.org, they would see the landing page. And if they decide to participate in Biobank, then they would see the pledge page with additional study details. And if they choose to create an account and sign up, then they would see the Eureka sign up page. Once sign up is completed, they would see the pre-DocuSign page, which would outline the next steps in onboarding. And then they will see the consent and HIPAA on DocuSign itself. And then progress to the legalese and medical record questions survey. Based off of the participants' responses in the legalese and medical record questions survey, they would either see the end of study page, and that would occur for participants who are not UCSF patients. If a participant selects that they are a UCSF patient, however, then they would jump down here to eVisit 1 and complete the MyChart integration or connection activity. And then they would see the end of study page. I mentioned eVisit 1, and what an eVisit is just a general collection of activities. In this case, for Biobank, it's just the collection of MyChart, OAuth, integration screens, and that activity itself. Okay, that wraps up the Biobank flow process on the website. The yellow and orange boxes outline the messaging schedule and frequency. There are 3 email messaging boxes. And as I mentioned before, there are also some ancillary boxes, the eVisit 1 structure, which outlines open and close policy for eVisit 1. Consent, which outlines details about Biobank's consent. It's a DocuSign consent with HIPAA. Eligibility, there's a diagram key. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, on the admin panel on Biobank, you're able to see MRN through the MyChart integration. And then a participant on Biobank is also able to click on a profile page and see a Surround on Fire UCSF Eureka integration tile and choose to connect or disconnect their integration with MyChart through that tile as well. Okay, and so that is the study flow diagram. Next, I'm going to minimize the flow and pull up the mock-ups. And so I mentioned that the study flow diagram is the blueprint for Biobank. The mock-ups are the design reference for the website. And so I'm going to have these 2 tabs open side by side because I want you to get a better understanding of the relationship between the study flow diagram and the mock-ups. So here on the right-hand side, we have the mock-ups. On the left-hand side, we have the study flow diagram. On the right-hand side right here, we have the Biobank logo and study colors. And this is the mock-up for the landing page. So this is where the landing page kind of fits into web onboarding, and here it is here. So once a participant is recruited into Biobank and they click on biobank.eurigaplatform.org, they go to the study website, and this is the first page that they would land or see. So this is the mock-up of the landing page. In addition to the landing page, Biobank also has a couple of additional pages for participants. There's an About page, which outlines additional information about participation in Biobank. There's an FAQs section, and then there's also a Contact Us. If the participant joins Biobank, so if they click on, let's go back a little bit, if they click on Join Biobank here, then the next page that they would see is the Get Started page, and that is the pledge page. Okay, so we're going through this web onboarding. The next page that they should see, if you're following with me on the study flow diagram, is the Eureka sign up page. And yep, that is what we see, login or sign up. There's also an option to add your phone number and verify your phone. Okay, we completed the Eureka sign up page. Now we're going to go to the pre-DocuSign, and this is pre-DocuSign. So this just outlines what participation includes, completing the consent, choosing your biospecimens, and then you're basically done. So we're going to continue to the consent, and again, this is taking us to DocuSign itself. Let me see the study consent. This is a demo consent, by the way, just in case you're wondering about the study title. So this is the consent, completed that, and the HIPAA. Now we're on the legalese and medical record questions survey. So this asks about biospecimen donation choices and medical records. Again, if the participant selects that they are a UCSF patient, then they're asked if they have a MyChart account. But if the participant is a UCSF patient, then they would proceed to eVisit 1 and complete that MyChart integration activity. If they are not, then they will just see the end of study page. Okay, and this is an expanded view with additional information included. Okay, so here we have your Connect Your MyChart account screen, and participants can either connect or decide to not connect. And if they choose to connect, they would enter in their MyChart credentials, and then they would successfully connect and see that end of study page, which is this one. If they decide that they do not want to connect to MyChart, then they would see this screen, and then they would also proceed to the end of study page. Okay, and so that is a study flow diagram and the general flow process for Biobank. We also have mocked up here the profile page, which is the page that has that Smart on Fire UCSF Eureka integration tile, and that is this right here. This is where participants can either choose to connect or disconnect their MyChart integration. And the other screens that we have here are admin panel screens, which I'll go ahead and actually hold off on showing because we're going to go through the admin panel in detail in a separate video. Okay, so that wraps up the study flow diagram, so I'll go ahead and minimize this. It also wraps up the mock-up review. Next, I'm going to go ahead and actually just demo the website just really quickly, just to kind of put everything into perspective, so you see how the mock-ups and the study flow diagram are the blueprints or your sources of truth or your guides, whatever it may be that whatever term you choose to use, but those are going to be your blueprints for the website. So this is the website, and it should look very familiar. Very familiar to the mock-ups. So we have the About page, FAQs page, and the FAQs are in an accordion style format, so if you click on the question, then the answer will drop down and populate. We have the Contact Us page. I'm going to go back to Home. I'm going to click on Join Biobank, and if you recall, the next page is Pledge. And then you have that Eureka sign up. I'm going to go ahead and click on this button to bypass sign up, so you don't have to create a test user. And we'll go over what a test user is in another video as well. Here we have that pre-DocuSign page. I'm going to continue to consent, and I'm going to proceed to DocuSign. Here we have the BIOS consent. Okay, now that we've completed that, we should see those legalese and medical record questions about your biospecimen donation choices. And this is what we currently see on the website. You can also click on Get More Detail to get additional information about each biospecimen option. We have your medical record questions. I'm going to select that I am a UCSF participant and patient, and that I have a MyChart. Click to finish, and I will now see that connect your MyChart activity. I connect and select continue, and I should see MyChart. I'm going to type in a test user. Let's try that one more time. Okay, click on next, and this is the MyChart integration information. I'm going to click on allow access. Great, so I see that success screen. If I continue, now I see that thank you page, or the end of study page, just excuse me, the end of study page. And so I've completed everything. If I click on profile, and now I should also see that connected apps. This is that MyChart integration tile, so I choose to also disconnect here if I would like. Okay, so that wraps up the features for the Biobank website, what the Biobank website is based on, study flow and mockups, and our overview of how the website works from a participant's perspective. In the next video, we'll go through the admin panel and go over the features that are found within the admin panel. So stay tuned, more to come.